Hello everybody, my name is Andrew Hester and welcome to How to Mod Your Mod. Okay, now a few of you have been asking how I am able to modify the mods for the Star Wars Empire at War and Forces of Corruption. And today I'm going to show you the simplest way that I know how. However, before you even attempt to remotely even try to modify the mod files, I recommend that you have a copy in case of whatever you do. If the game crashes immediately, then put your copy in to replace your original folder, so that way you can try again, or you don't want to attempt to modify the mod again. Now, for the purpose of this, I'm going to show you the modifications from the downloads folder. But for you to get to your own where the game is, it might vary based on how your computer is set up or where your game is located. For me, since I use the Steam and it's on my E drive instead of my C, for Steam you would go to Steam Library, Steam Apps. Sorry if I'm going too fast. Then Common, and then go all the way down to Empire at War. Now, there's two different ways you can go about doing this. If it's for the game Empire at War without the expansion, you would go to Game Data, then Data, and then it would be under XML. As you can see, though, I haven't modified this particular mod or that game. I modify the corruption, which would be this one here, and then it would be under data again. And here's where it might look different than what you have, because I have the Republic, or not Republic at War, I have the Clone Wars 4.0 installed. So as you can see, I have significantly more in my XML file than you might. And here's where it gets a little different. Than some mods will vary. Like this mod here, a fine example would be the, where is it? Okay, I don't see it, but it will list the different units themselves instead of, while some mods, if we go to, where is it? Space units, frigates, and when I edit, I use Notepad. It might give you WordPad or Word document. I prefer either Notepad or Notepad plus plus. So you'd go to here, and depending on which one you go, you can basically scroll down, and here is basically what you see. Now, when I do the modifications to the mod, I don't touch the AI. I'm scared I will break something, so I haven't even remotely tried to I haven't even viewed this one. Huh. So I guess in a way, you could edit the likelihood that your opponent or the AI is going to attack you, or it won't retreat if it has a large army or what have you. I don't edit that. The only things I edit are the actual ships themselves. That way, most of the time, it's so the enemy builds more rather than less, or I limit what I can build and all that. Now, I'm not quite sure exactly what everything in here does. The only things that I typically edit are like, basically the reason I like editing the XML file over, well, it's the only file I know how to edit, but basically what you see is basically kind of gives you an indication to what that'll edit. Like the armor type, the assault frigate armor will be much different than a capital ship's armor. And if I go to Space Unit Capital, I can give you a comparison. Like, here's the Malevolence. Armor type, Star Destroyer. It's going to be more resistant to physical attacks, not on the shields, but the hull itself, to where it's going to take more damage or it's going to take more fire before it actually loses a hard point or what have you, or sustains damage, because if you don't hit a specific hard point, I'm sure a few of you may have noticed in my Let's Plays, where I'll be shooting at a ship, but the shots are hitting a ship in front of it. All the hard points are still there, but then the ship just explodes. That's because the ship hull took all the health, or took all the damage, as opposed to the hard points themselves. So it'll vary. Sorry, I think I heard. Yep, there's one of the dogs. Hey, Jesse. So the tech level and affiliation, the tech level, for all intents and purposes, is when you can build it. For the Malevolence, you get it automatically, so this really won't affect you. Come here. While Political Faction lets you modify who can own it. So if you're playing like Thrawn's Revenge and you want Star Destroyers as the Rebellion, Super Star Destroyers, you can modify basically to add a second faction, you would type it in. However, I think I'm editing the... Whoops. I'm not done with you, Jesse. Or not. Okay, this is new. I haven't even tested it, but this is basically a brief little thing on how to basically edit. So basically, required planets, where you can only build it. So if you are unsure where you can build a certain unit, go to this one first. It'll tell you where you can build it. If you're going to play a particular faction and you want the enemy to be able to build a lot of them for whatever reason, or to make it more difficult for you, this is what you would edit. For no required planets, you would just remove it. Just leave it as is. Then you can build that unit anywhere. Build cost is how much the actual ship or ground unit will cost. So for the Malevolence, say this was a Super Star Destroyer, and you know that you build a lot of these when you play as the Empire, you would just type in a larger number. Yes, you'll still be able to build it, but however, it's going to cost more. So if you lose it, well, you're kind of screwed. And shield points, I mean, it's all pretty generic, and heck, if you really wanted to make an OP ship, hard points, the easiest thing you can do, copy all of the hard points, and then add a comma here, go down here, paste it in, and you have twice the hard points as the original. So, I'm not going to apply any saves because this is for my game. And basically, that's pretty much the gist. I know it's nothing too fancy, but this is how I do it. Other people might have their own preferred method, and no method is perfect. Everyone just has their own. See, like right here, it opened WordPad. I don't like that. Now, for planets, that's another thing. Planets are drastically different from units. Basically, the galactic position is where the planet is located and all that. I don't recommend editing that, but it's your prerogative. The only things I edit with planets is how much money it generates, or when it's destroyed. But basically the same philosophy applies. Planet capture, how much money you get when you capture it. One thing I like is editing the population. That way you can build more units. Or where the number of structures you can have on the ground. Some people I know like having all planets equal. Others like it more challenging. Me, I prefer equal just so I can build the most OP defense possible so I can keep advancing. But again, not everyone's the same, so it'll depend on what you prefer. Projectiles, open with Notepad. Projectiles, same thing. Basically what you see is what it'll affect. So like curve distance, pretty generic. How much the projectile does damage wise, like I said, basically everything is straightforward. So that's pretty much how I do it. I know, as I said before, other people have their own methods and that's their prerogative. So hopefully this helped you somewhat. If there's something that I didn't cover, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I got nothing else to add. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.